The plant that I'm going to propagate in this video is Sansevieria trifaciata. This plant is called snake plant or mother-in-law's tongue. It was really popular back in the 1970s because it ended up on this list of plants that NASA said would help purify the air. It's a really super easy plant to maintain. The most frequent way that people kill it is actually by watering it too much. They can live in very low light situations, so if you don't really have direct light in your apartment or something, it's a really easy plant to keep anywhere in your house. To propagate this one though, we're going to need a little bit of specialized equipment. You'll notice that with the jade and with the aloe that we didn't need to use clippers or knives or anything. We did all of that just with hands. In this case, I'm going to show you two ways to propagate Sansevieria trifaciata. One of them is going to require kind of like a sharpish steak knife, and the other is going to require a pair of clippers, or with this plant you might even be able to get away with a pair of scissors, but you're going to want to make sure that they're not going to get all gummy on you. So first let's propagate this by rhizome division. So to do that we need to take this plant out of this pot. When you're taking plants out of pots, with clay it's a little bit tricky. With plastic you can compress on a couple of different sides and then that'll squeeze the root ball together a little bit and you can pull it out pretty easily. These you guys have to like rock back and forth or kind of rotate to get out of the clay pot. And then we'll see this massive root ball here. Here we go, massive root ball. And you'll see all of these individuals could be separated from the main trunk of the plant. So, and it's a good idea to do that from time to time with these plants because they do get fairly aggressive. And so if you leave them in the pot for too long, they'll either break your pot or they'll crack your pot. Either way, I mean, it's not a good thing. So we're gonna kind of tease the soil from around here, get rid of some of the weeds, and then we're gonna find a spot where this kind of comes down in through the bottom, and you'll see that this is actually quite a formidable opponent here. Maybe if I just get all of the soil off, we'll tease all this off so that you can really see how these plants are connected together underneath here. So this is a rhizome. This is a rhizome. It's an underground stem. It roots out of all of these individual nodes, and we're going to use that to our advantage when we're propagating this. Each of these pieces is connected by a similar sort of structure, and so that's where we're going to need our specialized equipment for. I mean, I could actually, you know what, look at that. Boom, I just broke it right off of there. All right, so if it's well watered enough, it looks like you can probably just pick that off, and then you've got one lovely leaf that's got another little baby leaf coming up in there, and a good chunk of root that you can just pot up into the soil like that. But if you don't really have this much plant material and you want to do a lot of propagations, you can do this by leaf cutting instead. So for leaf cutting, you just need one frond. And I'll just cut one off. We need a pickle tip so I can show you that. All right, so I just snipped this down kind of low at the base, and you'll notice that it has this pointy tip at the top. That's called the apical meristem, and you want to get rid of that apical tip because if it has the apical tip, the hormones that are produced in this tip are going to tell this plant to keep growing up, and we want it to grow down now. We want it to grow new roots. We don't need it to get any taller. It needs roots. So we're going to cut this into sections that are about as long as your index finger. If you have really long index fingers, use your pinky instead. And so we're just going to cut that into a bunch of sections. Now you have to remember which way was up. So if you're not sure if you're going to remember that, take a Sharpie and put an arrow on it. Sharpie. And it's not going to matter. So it might wash off eventually, but we really need to know for us which way it is up. So point your arrow in the upward direction, and you're going to make these cuttings. You can do a whole bunch off of one of these fronds, which is really awesome. It's the difference between, you know, that one plant turning into 6 plants and this one leaf turning into 6 plants. But we'll see that there's a timing difference with how desirable your result is. All right, so we're getting all these cuts here, and each one of these is going to be a new plant. This is another thing that we would definitely benefit from you letting it sit for just a little while, even if it's overnight, to make sure that you get that edge hardened off on. See, right now it's gooey. It's a little bit succulent-y, right? So we want to use hardened off ones, which I took care of for you yesterday. So I'm going to get these hardened off ones, and we're going to do the same sort of thing with these as we did with the aloe. So here you can see it's hardened off, so you can see the fibers that are in there, and I know which way is up on these, so I'm just going to dip and stick and put them in my tray. I'll make sure that the control is with the control and the IBA is with the IBA, and then we'll check these at the end of the quarter and see which ones rooted and which ones didn't. That's it. Make sure that you complete your quiz questions, which you should have a PDF of, and then you can email those to me. And if you have any questions along the way, please, please, please reach out. Okay, thank you so much.